3, 2, 1.
That's the best one.
It is literally.
Because we're passionate about the conversation. Yeah. Right.
They say architecture is a slow art, but the world just hit fast forward. Today, we're asking an uncomfortable question. Is AI just a glorified rendering tool, or is it about to rewrite the DNA of how we design and build? From cracking the code of visuals to the existential threat of AGI, artificial general intelligence, we're diving into whether the next great architect will be a person or a prompt. We're joined by Ismail, who left the traditional path of architecture to chase the digital frontier. We're talking university shifts, training your own models, and the $1 million question: is the profession evolving, or is it being replaced? Grab your headphones, the blueprint is changing. Ismail, welcome to Drawing the Line.
Welcome to Drawing the Line. We've been trying to get you onto the show for the past 3 months, so I'm so glad that you.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's been a busy time. No, it's super happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. And Daz is being extremely passionate about AI. We've explored Nana Banana a little bit and trying to do our own stuff, but we're nowhere comparable to you.
It's not about the passion. Even it's about understanding it, because you're scared of it when you don't understand it. And I currently don't understand how it's doing what it's doing.
No. And I'll admit it, although we've both done some image generation. We have no idea what it means. I don't know what it means when you say train a model.
Yeah.
So I think we start off with the capabilities first and foremost, and the definitions. AGI, for example, what is AGI? What's AI?
Within architecture.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So you touched on so many things now. And it's interesting also that you brought the point of, I've not been using AI before, but then with the Nano Banana Pro, I started, because there has been a shift there. Last November, when this model came out, it became much more accessible for everyone to at least try it, even if they don't understand it. And I have to say, I don't also fully understand it. I don't think the people that do it, that create these models, fully understand it, because there is something going there that you cannot, it's not predictable. They take decisions on their own. So yeah, I mean, let me go back to the question of what happened with the Nano Banana Pro. What we've been seeing for the past 3 years is we had these models where you could write a very clear and super simple prompt, and it will be able to somehow transform this into an image. Yeah, so these were the models that came out a few years ago with Midjourney. I'm sure you've heard of it. But then the shift happened once Google released this new model, which is able to actually reason within the image. So it's called visual reasoning. So it's not just about being able to translate text into images, but it's now able to understand all the nuances within the images, because it has some sort of intelligence, and either edit portions of it, change mode. I mean, I'm sure you've tried it, create a zoom in, or even like have some sort of imagination. If you give it an image, what would the plan be like? What would be like if I cut it in sections? So it has some sort of visual imagination, which brings us to actually us as architects. Yeah, this is what we do. Like, this is how we communicate. I'm not such a great speaker. I communicate much better with images. Like, this is like, I have images in my head that I want to somehow translate, and this is what we do. Yeah, we sketch them, we try to render them. We, even with like when we're like space planning, we have images in our head and we're able to reason through them. And the model is capable of doing that, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not specialized as us. Of course, we are as architects.
So are you sorry to cut you off. That's crazy. Are you telling me that it's reading the images and making its own assumptions and then providing an answer with images?
So, I mean, it's not only that. There's something interesting if you run the model inside the chat interface, and there's inside the AI studio, the model actually sometimes it thinks with images. So there is a thinking thing. You tell it an image, you tell it, hey, I don't know, a plan of the building. So if you open the thinking process of it, it's okay. It writes some text and say, this image is like, I don't know, apartment building or whatever. Maybe the plan would look like that in text. But then it would generate an image, and it would self-assess this image if it follows
prompt.
Yeah, exactly. So it's thinking with images as well. It's not only like
That's scary.
Yeah.
My understanding of AI is clearly out of date, and this just prompts me to actually, I need to stay on top of it, because if you don't follow these things, you get just thrown out,
left behind.
Left behind, exactly.
Yeah. I thought the problem is this anxiety. I mean, the space is moving really, really fast. I'm unable also to like calibrate myself and follow everything. So imagine someone that is actually outside the space. So there is definitely a lot of anxiety going around. Am I missing out? But the good news is no one really understands what's going on, and things are moving much, much faster than we can actually understand for it to be useful for us. So we're still in that very super like exploration phase. So you can jump in anytime and you will be able to the thing is, like, my advice would be just jump in, try some stuff, and try to lead value out of it.
So you can already do visual really well. So is there any other sort of like examples? So what is it capable of at the moment in terms of its intelligence, and what do you think it's missing at the moment?
That's a very good question. So yeah, we talked about Nano by Nano Pro and why it was like a shift, because it wasn't able to visually reason within images. But the thing about these models is that they are foundation models, so they are very general. Like this model, you can tell it to generate an image of a dog eating ice cream, and it will do it for you. But you can tell it also generate a plan of a, I don't know, presidential building, and it will also do it for you. And this is great because it's general and you can do anything. But once you start talking about like specializations, especially like architecture, which is a very specialized profession, things start to become generic. So for an architect's eye, when you tell it to generate a plan, you would see a lot of mistakes and a lot of things that are a bit too generic, let's say. So if you ask it to, hey, I want, I don't know, design for me the best museum in the world, you would probably see, like, what it will give you would probably be something very generic. And this is because the model has been trained on billions of images off of the internet. And it's about probability, really. Like, its understanding of what is beautiful would probably be what it sees most. And what it sees most does not necessarily mean that this is the right thing. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it will not reason within it and will try to understand what beautiful means, and of course, like, get the best out of your prompt. But there is a limit to how generic things are, which brings me to the point that you asked in the beginning, which is the training. What does it mean, and why do we need it as architects? So yeah, I mean, we risk, if like we're only using these big general models, that everything will look the same in the end, and things will start to look quite generic because these models become a bit shallow and not specialized. This is why I believe these models become much, much more powerful and actually become valuable for us once you start teaching them and making them a bit more specialized. And you would be surprised. Yeah, like when I say teaching and training, you'll think, oh, I need like a data center with like millions of GPUs so I can like tell it, give it an understanding of what the plan is or what the section is. But it's actually much, much simpler than that, because the model itself is intelligent in itself. Teaching it becomes easier as also models progress. Yeah, I've been training models since like 3 years ago, and it was such a hectic process of bringing in the data set and being super clear about what you want to train it on, and having like a lot of something called negative prompts, which is what you don't want it to learn. So there was a lot of like, setting up, and you would risk, you do the run and it wouldn't understand what you're telling it. But now, because the models themselves are much more intelligent, they're able to grasp new concepts much easier. So yeah, this is what I would say the limitation is right now, and how to get through it is to basically try to make this is vertical integration. Now these are very horizontal models, let's say, and very general models, is to make it a bit more specialized in like architectural design.
Wow.
And it's also been back then. So just to extrapolate a little bit more, that's when you say train model. So for instance, around a banana.
Yep.
So is it by having dialogue with it? Is that what you need by training the model? So to feed information, tell it this is the sort of style that I want. This is so you understand your thinking.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So let me also take a step back and say, like, there are two types of models. They're called closed weights, so you don't have access to its wiring. Yeah, exactly. Which is narrow banana. Google owns it, and you have to run everything through Google, which is also kind of unfair that we may be touching on later. And there are open weights model where they release the weights. Weights is like the intelligence of it, like the parameters of it. They release these parameters, and this is where you can actually go inside these parameters and like it's literally like fine tuning them. So what you were
just to interrupt that. Is that open source and closed source? Is that
but yeah, exactly. But source is not the right word, but yeah, because source means they also release the code of it. They don't release the code. It's called weights. They release the model itself. Yeah. They release there's a file basically, which is a model, and you can download it. And you're offline. You have this intelligence.
Oh, it's offline.
Yeah.
And anybody can do this.
Anybody. I've been like doing this for 3 years now, offline without any.
So everything you feed it remains offline on your local SSD or hard drive.
So that cuts up the basic
that fear of it being released of when you have the information.
Exactly. But doing the whole everyone getting your information, that sort of puts a gate on that, isn't it? That is super interesting. So I was going to follow up on Baby's question.
Yeah.
Like, so because the fear of becoming generic, and all architecture looking the same, this prompts me to think, architects become famous because they have a certain style. Like Frank Gehry, he has a very distinctive style. So is Foster's. So is all these different architects. They have a very distinctive style.
Yep.
So if you were to train it or feed it images, particularly following your particular style, would that mean that you get the particular answer? So if you are being training Frank Gehry, it's building to my AI, and then I would say these are an apartment building that will fit on this side, so that they actually just come out with the style that looks like Frank Gehry's building.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes, but this is very tricky. There's a fine line here because sometimes you think I would feed it all the images, and basically it becomes okay. Let me reformulate. It's like you imagine you are working with Frank Gehry, and you have an apartment building to design. Would you just take the sort of bushes of a building and just like put them there, or you would try to understand what it meant, why those decisions were made, and then you try to mimic them in a much more intelligent way on the side. So I want to make this distinction between copying and actually training. So the training process needs to be in a way like the thing that is just described now, a bit more nuanced and intelligent in a way, and just not like about copying some materials or some ways of doing geometry.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets really, really tricky. So and this is why I think architects should be able to train their models, because if you're able to communicate this to the model and in a very clear way, that we took these decisions because 1, 2, 3, the model, when you give it the side that you were describing, will be able to correctly apply this. But what we're seeing now is, and usually this is what we see with Nano Banana, because you can't actually fine tune it, is you give it a reference image, and it's just like, it's superficial in orient.
Soulless.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't understand the process, the steps that you took in order to have this building. Yeah. So, and this is where the open weights thing comes in, because when they open the weights for you, and this is something that you cannot do with the Google models, you're able to really. So the fine tuning process is pretty simple. It's not that simple.
Simple for you. I'm still trying to get around the first point with something like that.
But practically, what you do is you give it an image, and you give it a text description with the image, and you try to tell it what you want what you wanted to learn, basically. So if you wanted to learn the side of Frank Gehry, you would describe in the text what it means.
Be a Frank Gehry.
Yeah, exactly, and why he took these decisions. So it's about nudging the model to understand this concept and learn it in a much more specialized way.
So does it have critical thinking at the moment? So
yeah,
because that means that you would read, let's say, a Frank Gehry building, and then you would tell it these aspects makes it a special Frank Gehry building. Then you will have to have the intelligence to actually okay, so the curves and everything that makes it Frank Gehry. So instead of copying exactly the footprint of that image you fed me, I'm now going to think critically, how do I put that onto a new site?
Yeah, exactly. The sense of philosophy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about education side of things in being institutional universities.
Yeah.
Because in order to now train your own model, you have to have an understanding of architecture philosophy, architectural history, architectural context.
100%.
So all those written modules of your university, you have to have an in-depth knowledge of these things.
Yeah.
Because you can't just trick. Because like with Nella Banana, you're right. Because I've done images where I've given it an image of Nell McLaughlin. Okay, this is Nell McLaughlin building. Use that visual aesthetics, use material palette, and apply it to this image that I did a sketch of.
Yeah.
Man, it's still a great image.
Yeah.
But there's no contextual.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I think it hasn't been like, it's even more important now, the theories, the ideas of like the history and theories of architecture, because now anyone can generate an image. Yeah. So everything is about the story, the narrative, like the understanding of proportion, the understanding of context. Yeah. And because again, it's become so accessible that it puts more pressure on the universities to teach the right things. Yeah.
So it sounds like at the moment it's a little bit soulless because it still doesn't understand a certain parameters within architecture yet.
Yeah.
So in terms of what's missing, then am I right to still think that it's still missing the whole collaboration aspect of, because with architecture we all sort of trained to be architects. Our number one job, sadly to say, is not to design the building. It's one of the most primary function of architect. But actually, when you get into the job, most of it is problem solving, and most of it is collaboration, coordination, right? So you can't do stuff on site or stage 3 or 4 stuff without your engineers.
Yep.
Right. So is it smart enough to take that aspect away from the architecture field?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it's there yet, but it's like these models have shown signs of like extremely good problem solving skills. So it's just about, and we're starting to hear talks about like agents. So if you have agents that are able to communicate correctly to each other, maybe at some point in the future they're able to do this coordination thing. It's not there yet, but I understand that also, like, it's such a complex problem to solve. I don't think it's as easy as we think it is. When I started 3 years ago playing with these models, the first thing that came to my mind is, okay, Revit is done. We have these models that are able to basically 1 + 1 = 2, do all the drawings for us.
Yeah.
It's way more complex than I thought, and especially when you want precision, because these models are generative in their nature, so they are unpredictable. So it's really, really hard to tame them to get very super precise things. This is why they're really good at images, because in images you don't need this precision, you need the look and feel. They somehow counterintuitively they took over the creative part, and they are unable to do which is weird. Like, I thought,
weird.
Yeah, so this was the other route, was the easier route to figure out. But so yeah, there is still this gap between this, because we as architects, we need both. Yeah, we need the look and feel, and the feeling, and the philosophy, and the sophistication, which are things, the concepts that are like not tangible, but also we need the precision and the coordination of structure, mechanical, and having everything set in a very precise way. So it's the connection between them that's still missing. It doesn't mean that we're not heading this way. I think they could be heading this way.
Is it safe to say then that the current state of these artificial intelligence models is that it's primarily image generation.
Sure.
And like I said, it's taking that, it's speeding up that fun process.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you'd spend days, weeks, hours, late nights trying to figure out what the design's like, what the proportions are like. But if you train it on model to think like you, because I remember I came across a video, I think was it Björk Ingels, who said he's all for AI because he's been doing the prompting for many, many years, for decades now with his colleagues.
That's really true.
Essentially, not where he's training a model which is black and white and he understands it. And this is not, but sometimes people have to understand their way of thinking to describe it to them so that they understand it. With an AI model,
that's quite scary though, because
it's the same process with speeding it up.
No, but imagine if someone like BIG, right, like Björk, or someone that is senior enough to have his own model, he doesn't need assistance anymore.
No, exactly.
All he needs to do is train.
But they have image generation to begin with.
Yeah,
so you still need a physical, a 3-dimensional model in BIM.
Right.
So this is the missing link. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that again that we won't get there.
So it's good for feasibilities and good for bidders doing the bids opportunity on the site.
No, but 1 second. So you talk about the missing link. So that missing link is the model, the building the model itself and to the image generation.
Yeah, exactly. So basically jumping from the raster world to the vector world where you have like everything set in the model. I mean, there is like right now they are going in parallel. Yeah, like you have some AI stuff going inside the BIM world where you have like building information, the digital twins and stuff like that. And you have all the things that we see with the images, which is very, very exciting. It's just about like having a model that's able to do both somehow. And from what I've been seeing over the past few years, it seems like this is doable. Like a few years back, like the LLMs only understood text, and now we have these omni models where you can show them videos and to understand anything within the video. Doesn't mean that in a few years we couldn't see a model that would go inside your BIM model and we're able to generate an image based on the BIM model, and it can do like it understands both.
I mean, imagine if Rhino had the ability to start generating models through prompts.
Yeah.
And then you no longer, but then you still have to, the person who's generating it still has to have the logic behind of the mathematical problem.
Yep.
So if I was to build a building with curves, for example, and trying to mimic like Zaha, like whatever, but you still have to, I guess you don't have to physically know how to model, like, cooling the surface or, out of the model, but you can start typing prompts. So start with a circle.
Yeah.
Put it this way, put it that way, instead of like actually physically clicking a button.
The nodes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because with Grasshopper in Rhino, I'm not particularly great at it. But surely I'm convinced there is someone out there. Maybe it's you, I don't know. Or maybe it's Zara, right? I mean, I'm sure they probably do have their own agents. Rather than having to constantly put in the nodes and the nodes into Grasshopper, I'm sure they've got something which is text and converts it into these prompts.
Yeah, because think about the mathematical problems. Because our brain and how we make, let's say, parametric design is flowing, right? But then we'll try to figure out the mathematical problem behind it. Okay. So imagine if you got a concept, like if MAB had a concept, this wavy sort of building, and then its prompts was from the beginning, make it mathematically correct, right? So then when he starts to generate the curve, it was actually follow
some ratios.
Follow a mathematical logic rather than. So I think that would be really exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I would push back a bit on like something that has been really refreshing to me using these models is their imperfection. They're not precise. We've become obsessed, like we spend so much time inside Revit and inside the Rhino and inside AutoCAD. We really think we need to have all the models neat and tidy, and like if you have dimension line with 5.0001, you couldn't sleep at night, the best thing about working with images is that it's the complete opposite of that. Like you work on the senses, the feeling, the materiality, it's something that I feel like us as architects, we have like lost track of. We've become super obsessed with software, precision inside software, which is very important, don't get me wrong, because this is what gets things built. But then it's moved away from like what you mentioned at the beginning, the theories, the proportions, the look and feel. Why am I choosing this over that? Mm-hmm. And the image side of it actually touches on that beautifully. Like I would generate images where really like the there's a division of the facade, and none of them is equal, and you could see it with your eye, but the image still would feel really nice and natural somehow. And this is something you would never do if you start designing inside Revit or Rhino. So if you're starting there, you're so precise and you're copying and snapping, and so things like you can copy, and then when you reach the end, things are not divided equally, and you get crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm just touching on a point here that I think it's in a weird way, it's moving us back to like handling the very unprecise,
Imperfectly perfect.
Exactly.
It's like training almost a young architect, right? Not knowing like the rules, the forms function. You know, the Holy Bible, everyone has to read it. Part 1, forms function by D.K. Ching. I can't remember. Anyway, but it was super exciting to hear like what it can do, but then also learning that there's still a gap between its function, like, you know, the having a model and an image.
Yeah.
And then what you said about the collaboration aspect, that's really interesting. But then you mentioned agents. So I can, out of my head, it was like, okay, what if they start building agents who understands the MEP fully, understands structure fully, and then you become, and in this model, this holy grail AI that someone
AI
starts to branch off, right? And then it's got the structure, the MEP, the lighting design guys, they've all been trained. And then when the prop goes in and say
they all talk to each other.
And they all talk to each other. But then there's still, even after that, there's still the step of actually producing the correct, accurate information. Because when you go on site, imagine like you can't, how do you actually generally trust a drawing that's done by an AI? Even all of the things that we just mentioned was done, right? And then it's given you to a point, it just generates a PDF for you, right? And then how do you actually trust it to?
Well, not so easy because of the liability and insurance and the contract side of things. But I think that's where human involvement would have to remain until construction, the buildability aspect becomes automated. I know likes of Schindler,
that is scary.
Schindler, I think it is, or Kone, one of the lift manufacturers, they've got now a robot which you put at the base of the lift pit and you just climb and build. And watching those videos, I felt scared because thinking if I get in the lift and one little screw is missing, but then I realized humans would make that error, whereas robots wouldn't. You watch iRobot and all these movies, they program in a certain way, they have certain rules that they can't break. So I'd trust now, looking at it, I'll probably trust a robot's manufacturing more than human manufacturing. Yeah. There should be no room for error. Yeah. Until we get to that stage, I don't think liability and insurance-wise will cover it. You'll always have a human level in interaction to approve drawings, check drawings, movie drawings.
But at least, sorry.
No, I was to ask, to add that, I mean, it's pretty, like, this reminds me of when the internet came out and everyone was afraid of buying online. There's a trust threshold there, no? Once you do it once and it works, and then you do it, and then I feel confident that you can leave it to the internet somehow, and we have all our payments now. I remember I'm old, so I remember that.
For listeners that are my age or younger, we can't relate to this.
You can't relate to a point. I think
it was pretty scary. Yeah, it's pretty scary to put your code online.
I think you'd be too small to even fathom when the power of the internet is in the palm of your hands.
Yeah.
That thing is unfathomable when we were like 12, and then to look up an image, you have to go and then you connect it. There's a little things that you're connected to internet, and then to go onto a web page, it would take like another 5 minutes to download an image. But then now you have that, and then
it's instant.
Yeah, but do you remember the first time you bought something online?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very scary. You wouldn't. So I would say the same here. Yeah, I mean it's about trust really. Like if it worked for a couple of times, society would trust this and somehow going forward. I'm not really optimistic about the construction industry because it's very, very slow anyway in terms of adapting new technologies. So I wouldn't say that, in 2 years we were building with robots. That's for sure really far-fetched for me. We're still building the same way we were building like
And there's more safety regulations.
Yeah, there's so much involved. There is such a complex process that you can just go in and say, yeah, we're totally doing something new. But it doesn't mean that we could get there someday. Like,
so how does that affect you in terms of like university? Because like I know you're quite advocate, and then you're testing a lot.
Don't forget, welcome on tutors might be listening. No, but it's a good point because it's opened my eyes in this conversation because I've finally grasped what it means for it to be training a model. Because I've thought all this time I'm training a model through banana, but that's not really, because it's a closed way that he said, isn't it, to describe it. So lots of students, because we have access quite easily and readily to these banana models or Mid-Journey or even ChatGPT to a certain extent, but it has a very distinct style. So in terms of university level now, there are quite a few tutors who are a bit reluctant, hesitant, but then some tutors and some courses, particularly for interior design, because that's where it really excels mid-generation almost instantly.
Yeah.
So going forward, or even now, would you, obviously you would advocate it, but what are the limitations in the sense of what do we need to be careful of? So if we're encouraging the students to use it, what do we need to be quite cautious about?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on this point. I think you need to have a very solid understanding of theories, how this all came to be. Like, why is this model generating this image with these proportions? Like, you need to really study history, theories, or all the stuff that we discussed, because I mean, you risk really just generating things that you don't understand, and again, we risk that everything converges into something very generic. Talking about universities, I mean, to me, if I was a student during this time, I would be flying. I mean, it is the best. This is the best way to experiment. Yeah, I mean, universities are there for us to try new things, and like I mentioned, also these models are black boxes. Really, no one understands what's going on. Even the guys that make these models, they don't understand what's going on.
So scary.
And this is, for me as a student, would make me really curious to like just like go on research and experiment. So right now we are seeing literally breakthroughs happening every week because no one understands what's going on. And whenever some research lab or something does a little thing in their post-training, so that these models, they are trained and then they are post-trained, and then you can take them and like teach them new stuff. So sometimes we have these breakthroughs, like the breakthrough of Banana Pro, which basically we discovered that it's able to visually reason with images. Other people take this and start implementing it. So every little tiny breakthrough inside these models can make huge amount of value to whoever is using it. And for us as architects, we don't really have the level of experimentation going on. And usually these models are made for other stuff. We are such a niche, like let's say, profession that Google wouldn't think about, hey, I want to just go and take out the architecture. So going back to the point of universities, I mean, you have all of this going on. You absolutely have to take these models and like break them and understand how they work, or maybe just like come out with breakthroughs. Or, for example, I took this model and I'm able to make it understand plans in a very good, interesting way. So it's able to really assist me when I'm designing. I'm just giving examples here. So
another thing that's quite reassuring, because there's one point you made where my eyes lit up, which is university is a place where you should experiment, do things. And that sort of reasons that, because I think there should be a focus maybe going forward with universities where they teach how to prompt. So, because at the moment, no one's teaching, well, I've not come across any university that are teaching artificial intelligence or image generation. We just all go to the internet. That's the image. I want my image to look like this. Yeah, being very generic, becomes soulless and shallow, like we described earlier on. So if universities are teaching students how to use correct terminology, if you backtrack a bit, understand the history of architecture, understand the different eras and different time periods, why they came about, why was brutalism in that period of time, why was industrialization, the modernity. So once you understand it all, you can then apply it to a context and understand the people that are using that space.
And I also like do this and understand what's a foundation model, what's a closed weights model, what's an open weights model, how do you fine tune it? Yeah, I mean, it's really important to also understand the tech part of it, because I mean, imagine why are we such a tech profession as well? Like we are really good with software. It's because you need to understand these why Grasshopper is so popular now. It's because we really need to dig deep and customize and make it our own because it's such a specialized profession. So as important as like history is, also the tech part is very, very important.
Yeah, I think even to make yourself a good architect, you need to understand fundamental principles, right?
Okay, exactly.
So as a student, I think as long as we steer them in the right direction, not just soullessly, mindlessly thinking about the deadline is tomorrow and I need to get like churn out 5 sections into. They have to understand the principles behind it, because otherwise, when you get into an architecture field like a job, then there's no point for you being there.
Yeah.
Because if someone can prompt it, then why are you there? So they have to understand why it's 50 millimeter thick instead of 100 millimeter, right? And he has to understand the history, the period.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Was there a point that you were going to?
No, I was going to say things going forward. I mean, we need to, I don't know what the word I'm looking for like is, you know, when you accept it.
Yeah.
Because we know the world is going in that direction.
Yeah.
And we're living in a generation where everything becomes it's all digital, and like I said, it's the palm of a hand. We have to accept the fact that is the direction architecture is going to go. But I think it's probably safe to say that AI isn't necessarily going to take over our roles, but we should, I think, accept it in a way where it's going to help us do things better and faster, at a rate where we've maybe not experienced before. So that's what people are probably worried about.
No, but I really love Ismail's approach, the optimism behind it, and not be scared. Because my instinct was, oh shit, they're gonna take our jobs.
No.
Shoot, like they're gonna replace everything that we do. But it's like navigating it, and then it's like a baby, it's like a kid. Like if you train it, if you take control of it, train the way that you want it to be, there's actually so much potential to make it better for a student. This is actually kind of sort of leads on to our next sort of almost topic, is that then does architectural practices start, where does the part 1, part 2s comes into the practice? Because they come out of architecture school. I'm speaking for myself here, when I come out of architecture school, part 1, I know nothing. All I did was how to build model in 3D. I don't know anything about building regulations, planning, coordination, how to talk to people. Nothing. Fresh out of uni. But then the only asset that I can provide to someone like Austin Partner or one of the architects or any practice is my time, right? And then I can relentlessly build a final model, or say spend time on Photoshop. But then it sounds like that can be replaced now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So my question is that actually helpful, or is it actually degrading? Because I think it can be helpful, because you don't have to mindlessly churn out 15 options using physically doing a model. So a journey for a part 1 to become a architecture, if you think of it in an optimistic way, can be a lot faster, rather than if what you taught in school is more about the fundamentals of architecture, which is actually the case for European universities. They don't teach you like the Bartlett way of teaching, like the beautiful, like the conceptual, but they'd rather teach you like how deep the stairs should be, how many landings you should have. It's very more technical, like ELF, for example. I wondered if with the help of or AI in uni, and if everyone can like harness that power, then you can create things a little bit faster, right?
Yeah, I don't like the word faster, but I was just continue.
No, but yeah, of course you can jump in whenever, but it's that's so I'm trying to be optimistic, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm absolutely in line with you. The thing is about also like whenever we touch this topic of AI is we always like the first thing that comes to our mind is that faster like things will happen automatically, automation, fast. No, I mean, to me, at least my journey with these tools But what I found is actually I spend even more time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So it was never about like speed to me. Okay, the definitely can give you a final render much easier, but doesn't mean that this render is actually final, and probably it's part of the process. What's interesting for me when I'm using these tools is that I'm able to in much more easier way communicate my thoughts. Like I have ideas and I want to test them. These ideas, the AI model helps me say these ideas in a much more clear way and a much more like this is the value of it to me. This is where it brings value. It's not its ability to finish 1 million sheets for me in a couple of seconds, but its ability to help me think and test ideas in a much more valuable way instead of me going through each idea separately and trying to like in a way their unpredictability helps me think better. If this makes sense.
That's super
Because it nudges you in different directions. If that makes sense. But it's not. It was never. I mean, up until this point, of course, I think happened. It was never about speed or automation to me.
That's super interesting because then if you're trusting it too much and you just want results, you're gonna get the wrong results.
Exactly.
Just like everything that we do in life, right? If you do something too quick, it's gonna be shit.
Yeah.
But this actually prompts me to thought of another thing is that so you've been providing constructive criticism and feedbacks to the AI. So this is probably a gold thing for our listeners, like what's the right prompt? Like how do you actually make it help you to think like clearly? How do you want it to get like what sort of prompts as someone like you use rather than the generic like give me as legal we got over to you like if you can give us a few like key uses that we can just go away and try, what would that be?
Yeah, so what like I expressed with you guys, I'm not that much of a not text person. I'm not really good with writing. I communicate better with images.
Yeah.
Also, this is why. Yeah. So this is why. Okay, not prompt only with images, but this is why I fine tuned with images as well. Like I have a certain taste, a certain way, a certain sort of, building architectural buildings that I like, that I teach it with this taste through a training process. Actually, it's not just. It's not the emphasis is not so much on the prompt now. It's more on the fine tuning of it. So I take my time preparing the data set and really try to communicate to it the concepts that I want to teach it. So for example, I grab a bunch of images, like 50 of them, let's say, and I go through each one of them, describing what I like about it and feed it to the model, and the model goes through a process of training. I can touch on it a bit just so you have a picture of what goes on in the training. So it's a 2-hour training. It's not like a weeks but it needs to be a very precise concept. Yeah. So, and then the model basically what it does is that it does it's like how we learn, how our kids learn. Yeah, it's a try and error thing. So the model keeps trying. It takes an image, adds to it noise. And then you have a final image which I feed it, and it tries to take this image where it added some noise to it and make something similar to this one. And it keeps trying, failing, and there's like a reward whenever it gets closer.
What?
So it's exactly how we train as humans, or how you train your dog.
What's its reward? You can't give it a treat.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like you're nudging it to tell it, hey, that's good. Keep doing that.
That's like conditioning. You're giving it affirmation.
Yeah, it gets closer.
Get closer. So
but you would see there's like when you're training a model, there's something called the loss graph. So whenever the loss comes lower, it means it's getting closer. So the graph would look like that. But if you zoom into the graph, it's actually doing So it's learning, and then at some point it goes back. Oh, I lost the concept, and then and this is like super. You watch this graph while it's training, and if it's going down, it's learning concept. But sometimes
you zoom in, it's doing this.
But also sometimes it goes up, which means it's unable to understand what you.
But you know this.
No, I don't know. I'm just painting a picture
it's computed
of what, like, because we're talking about prompting. It's not just that. There is really a lot that goes into this intelligence.
So we read graphs when it comes to stocks and shares and foreign exchange, and it's not the same, but yeah, you get the point. It's like candlesticks. This is probably something similar.
So this is how I like to handle my models. Like this is how I find this is where they become valuable to me. It's not through generating the perfect prompt, but somehow feeding it with all my mess in a way.
Yeah.
Like feeding it with all my context and making it understand it all, and somehow pushing it to its limits as well. Like sometimes I train different concepts that will really fit together and see if what happens if I mix them.
So just to summarize that. So when it comes to architectural implementation, it's primarily image-based at the moment. Is that safe to assume?
So I would say, yeah, primarily.
But then there is that optimism. There will be some sort of connectivity within when it comes to BIM integration and when it comes to Grasshopper and Rhino and parametric architecture. So, but it's not quite there just yet. So for me, for the time being, it's primary image generation. So in terms of the RAB work stages or when the stage on project, it's more about the conception, the brief, the discussion, the early design tests.
So I would push back a bit on that because we as architects, we only communicate through images.
Yeah.
And if you're in VD phase, you're still doing renders and you're still designing, you're still.
So you can see you in the images.
So it's not within one stage of the design. I would say it's within all the touches all stages because it's images.
Yeah.
Basically, right now, I mean, the models are able to do plans as well with pixels.
Yes.
Mental to me, but so I mean, it touches on images, but we as architects we communicate with images, so it does. It basically much touches on everything.
That is what I'm thinking for myself. Yeah. I will carry on the delivery end, so my job is safe. Yeah.
No, we are on DD phase ever, so I don't know if I can say that, but
no, it's fine. I mean, no, but what actually that's prompting actually to our next point. Prompting. I don't know if you caught that, guys. Oh God, I lost my train of thought there. So regulations then, right? Cool. So if it's image based, but then there are rules. And then we still have to. The beauty about, I think, one of the things about architects is that we have a very logical, numeric brain, right? Like for me, a brick thing will stick to me for the rest of my life, or a specific number, like even if it's like 7825 for a DIN, it will stick to me, right? And there's the creative side where you appreciate a good design, right? So those two are the core components of what makes a good architect is the problem solving and being observative, right? And there's obviously communication, being able to present, that's fine. But what your topic sort of prompted me thinking is that when it comes to regulations, rules, and when it comes to like how is it going to do a ES 9991, for example, right? Can you feed a document to it?
Yeah.
And then you would learn its rules, I guess, and then you would give it an image, or you would ask, can you following these rules design a core for me?
Yeah,
that would fit within this footprint.
Yeah, exactly. This is the missing link to me. I mean, this is what we jumping from the raster to the vector to the text.
Yeah, there's still
but it doesn't mean like to me it feels solvable. I mean, someone could just go in and like connect the dots together. It's just about connecting the dots to me.
I assume, because if to really put it simply again, is we're all agreeing that it's like training an infant. It's like training a pet animal, for example. Same way, we can train because these building regulation documents, they have images, they have text, they have parameters, they have set rules. So, and that's black and white, pretty much. So someone needs to convert it, I guess, to noughts and ones. Or whatever code, whatever is happening. Someone needs to convert it, and I'm sure it'll pick up. Because I remember we did a test on Anna Banana, and I remember it said to you, that looks very convincing, a floor plan. However, it's not in accordance with BS 9991.
Yeah,
but then we fed it some information, and it did make some amendments. But that's a closed weight, is it?
Yeah,
closed weight. But on open weight, you'll go to, I can train it. That set that as a task this year.
No, but and that's the thing though. It's so again, it's leading on to the next topic. It's like 5 years, 10 years, even less.
Yeah.
You know, when people are starting to bridge this connection, that missing link.
Yeah.
Or like you said, where we're getting closer and closer to AGI, where so many agents can, you can give it like a site, and you ask for it to start generating a call following BS 991, make sure it ticks all the right boxes for planning and all the regulations. And then you also asking to make it mechanically work with all the latest shaft requirements, smoke requirements. And then you ask it to make it structurally sound, and then give you a full spec of what you want for the finishes, give it a full spec of what you want for the lifts, give it a full spec for what you want for, and then I don't think we're that far off for it to generate.
So this is what actually excites me. I mean, what excites me is what they call the narrow AI, so not the AGI. I think the AGI is like, it's a glory thing. Like we are going to create something more intelligent than us. It's very scary, and I think it's super risky, and I think it will probably end the world. I'm not kidding. I think it's really risky. Like, I mean, we're giving them connection to the internet, which runs the world, and they are able to code, so they're able to build themselves. Anyway, we can keep this aside. What it really excites me is what you just described, sort of narrow AI, which is like specialized agents, exactly, one that understands mechanical quite well, structure quite well, and they're able to somehow collaborate together. And we in the end are still doing like what we do best, which is like have the full picture and coordinate everything together. We don't need the AGI parts to do this for us. We would probably be, I don't know, we would probably be able to set out our visions in a much more efficient way, because right now the process is quite a mess. The process of going through, like, since the design of the building is built, there's so much business growing on.
I mean, when it goes to detailed design, it's just like, it's essentially we are still manually untangling all of the mess. But
so if you have these specialized narrow AI agents that understand things quite well, and they have all the needed information, context about the project and what's going on with it, I see this working somehow. I see this.
So this actually comes to like me being someone who hasn't had the knowledge and background that you have. Just after this conversation, it's already helping me to fathom a little bit more of what this thing can do for us. So I'm going to go out there with painting a picture of it 10 years, I don't know, maybe 20 years down the road, right? We have a narrow AI, have an intelligence where let's say a senior architect, example, and then he's been given a brief, and then the design team will have to come up with a concept. Let's say we just, all of a sudden we can start using this narrow AI, and then giving it the magnitude and the brief that we need. It needs to obviously tick all the right boxes, but then connecting it even further when it becomes fully autonomy, like going on site where you have, so the link that we've been talking about, building a model of physical thing,
a digital twin or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's really interesting, the digital twin. But then they construct that in, I guess, in like a virtual world, because that's what like all of the frontier AIs like NVIDIA, they all talk about that digital twin. But then that once they think that that's possible, and then you can see it in the deeper world that, okay, you can do this, that links directly to the physical world, where you have a robot with 3D print. Like 3D printing a house is not futuristic. It's happening now, right? So then the connection between that digital twin to the physical world is like you have instead of a crane, it's just a 3D printer, and you print a building from.
No, it probably would be. Yeah,
that's how far as I can go. But then, that leads to the question of the generic of our architecture. Does it become? Is it just going to be the sci-fi movies? Just like going to be like domes of buildings? We're going to be everything that's just a very similar thing.
Yeah, I think we're put down. Like, it's really like questionable now. What's our value? I mean, we need to really reevaluate. Why we as architects are valuable, and I think we are valuable in so many ways, but it just puts you under the spotlight. You really need to present yourself as I am needed for you to be able to build a building.
Yeah, that's crazy. Absolutely. There was so towards the final closing chapter of this discussion, and I think I've enjoyed it so much already. And in terms of like everyone's like thinking about this sort of AI bubble, but it doesn't sound like it's just a bubble. It sounds like really things are happening even beyond our own comprehension. Like the engineers who built this model, like you said, they don't fully understand it. There are things happening behind it, you know. And if we're not careful, AGI in the world. Not to scare people off here, but like the more I think about it, the more it's
No, I think it has to be mentioned because I mean, something's happening, and a lot of people don't understand what's going on, and it touches on everyone in society. This is just us talking away from the image generation or actual field, but we're talking about that. The race to AGI that's happening and billions that are being spent, it's quite dangerous, I think, and it's a bit reckless. But I mean, yeah. So I mean, we just need to I need to tell them, so people to be aware of this thing is going on. You didn't sign off for that.
So it's like, sorry. No, there was this thing that I heard from like all the podcasts going on in the world about AI is that the six or seven people that are doing AI at the moment, they're basically racing each other to get to that level. I don't know, they don't really care if they're the person that kills the world. And then they basically behind closed doors, it's like, if I don't build it, he's gonna do it.
Exactly.
If he doesn't build it, he's gonna build it.
It's like expecting.
Yeah, the best case scenario, we're able to control it and we build the holy grail. And it serves humanity. Great. Worst case, we destroy the world, but at least I'm the one who's destroying the world, so I get to do it. But that's such a superior thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, we discussed this. I mean, the whole thing about this is that it's unpredictable. Like, no one understands what's going on inside there. So I mean, giving it the full control of the world, I'm not so sure. Yeah.
So many.
What would it do? I'm not so sure. Why would it work for our interests? I don't know. I mean,
can I ask enough from because we've spoken extremely positively about how we can implement all these models and LLMs, but what do you have to say? I'm sure you've probably come across a lot of criticism, right? On social media, or maybe even in person. Maybe, I don't know if you've come across resistance within practice. So how, not necessarily how you've gone about it, but what would you say to people to not necessarily convince them to accept it, but just to make them understand where we are right now?
The other side of things.
So this is exactly it. I mean, I would try to make them understand where we are right now, because usually the skeptics, I totally get it. It's something that's coming here to replace action. I mean, let's face it. You spent years building this skill and this craft, and there's this thing that could replace it. I'm not saying that it's happening right now. Definitely, no one's being actively replaced in the architecture field right now. But what I would say is that it's very possible. I mean, it's just about connecting a couple of thoughts, and you are practically there. So I would say I would understand how frustrating it is, but I would definitely ask them to at least try get a knowledge, try to train a model, try to understand where the limitations are right now, because things are moving quite quickly, and we are reaching a point where a lot of our process could be released.
But that's the thing. This is why I think we want to have this conversation with you, and it needs to be out there for people. It's the negative comments or the criticism of using AI. Yes, we all get it. We don't want to get there either. But if you don't do it, you're going to get left out.
You're a bit left behind.
Yeah, and then you have to somehow almost understand it to protect yourself. Know that enemy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I just want to add one more point, which is from an institutional point of view, from university. There will be some tutors who are against artificial intelligence or use of AI in architecture because they believe it takes away the critical thinking. But like this conversation has proven, depending on which models you use, you do need to train it to be able to understand. So yes, I think if we accept it in a way where if we teach the students to understand architectural history and architectural theory, then they'll excel. Otherwise, it will be dull, it will be boring, and like I said, at the beginning, it will be hollow and shallow. So I think that's the key point where education, or maybe university and professors and teachers need to just accept the fact that that's the direction the world's going in. We need to ensure we're encouraging students to use it appropriately.
I think, exactly. I think tutors and teachers and professors, they need to they have
Like
a
people,
huge
they didn't train themselves.
yeah, exactly. You have a huge weight on their shoulders right now because they have to understand it and they have to be able to communicate it to students in the best way possible. They can't just say you cannot use it and you don't understand what's going on. Yeah, I mean, they really need to understand this thing that's going on. Yeah, to be able to like guide it correctly to students. It's not on the students to just stop. Yeah.
So at that point, this is actually made me think: is there like you talk to it, very on a very close basis? So was there actually? Is there something that you've seen or something that you've through the work that you've been doing that AI has done without you actually navigating it to get to that point? Is there anything that it has done in your experience that made you uncomfortable and made you feel scared?
Yeah, so definitely remember we discussed in the beginning when you open the thinking. When I saw that the model is thinking with images, this was like a bit scary to me because this is like how I imagine. Yeah, exactly. This is me there. So it's doing it's mimicking me somehow. So if it's able to do that, then maybe I'm basically replaced. If it's able to think with images means that it has this sort of imagination, like it will imagine. Like if I look at that building, I can sort of imagine in my head a plan of it. Yeah. Or like, what if I cut a section? This is sort of happens in the imagination. And I saw like the glimpse of that with it thinking with images. So yeah, I would definitely say that this moment was quite incredible for me. But also like going back 3 years ago, the fact that I was able to teach it something, this was also quite incredible to me. That I wanted to communicate an idea for it, and it not only understood it, but it was able to also apply it in a very versatile way. So it's not just copying what I taught it; it's understood the concept and it's able to like grasp it in different situations. Like I tried to make a sketch of this concept that was in real photograph, and it was able to understand it. And I told it to, I don't know, create I'm just giving you, I will give you like a very simple example of, I trained it on realistic images and it was able to mimic the style within the realistic images of the building in a sketch. You know what I'm saying?
From a sketch or in
a sketch. So like I trained it on some sort of like curves, let's go with the Frank Gehry curves on realistic images. But then I prompted create a sketch of a building, and it was able to understand the geometry and translate it in a sketch. So it's not just copying the pixels and putting them in. No,
it's actually changing it's understanding the geometry. He's understanding
also feed the principles.
It's learning.
Basically learned what I tried to teach. Basically, so yeah,
that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Thank you. And then I think we're sort of finishing the discussion. There's so much that we can talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, but I'm gonna with this last bit is almost dropping a little bomb because you are an architect and you have a glimpse into what's upcoming, and as we all understand it, you are leaving the profession. You're going to
on the tech side.
Yeah, you're going to a whole different thing that's not even architecture related. So maybe just give us a couple of points of why you've done that. What led you to that career change?
Yeah,
if you're comfortable about telling.
No, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I've been an architect for 13 years now, and the thing is, when these models started coming out 3 years ago, there's something about like touch something personal. Like since they came out, it somehow switched the curiosity somehow. Like my curiosity level became really high, and my brain somehow became full of ideas on how to like teach them something or like how to use them. And I became quite obsessed with them, to be honest. Like it became like an obsession, like when you like something so much, it becomes an obsession. So, I mean, not taking away anything from the architecture field, I mean, this has been also a source of my curiosity for quite some time. It's just this hit, like me personally, in a way that the architecture didn't. And the process of the designing buildings. So I'm taking a leap really. Like it's a bit risky, but I'm taking a leap to really see if what has been in my head for the past 3 years about like how valuable these tools are for architects and designers, are they actually quite valuable? Will we be able to make it similar for people to be able to use them, fine-tune them, teach them everything that we talked about? So it's quite a challenge. Like I'm jumping into a new challenge, but I really believe, because it touched me in a way that made like whatever I do much more valuable, I really believe that it's going to change how we design. It's going to create so much value for designers and architects in the future. So this is why I want to spend time building something that makes it much more accessible for everyone, and like give people the promise of it. Like there was always this promise of you would have this assistant that will help you design, but it was never delivered. It was always okay, yeah, but you need to install Python and all the dependencies and understand the coding and like install, have a massive GPU. You know, it's
almost like
this wall in front of everyone in order to be able to access it. This is why everyone is using Nano Banana Pro, because it's really accessible. Yeah, quite intelligent and really accessible. So yeah.
No, so I was gonna say, so it's almost like with the help of AI, you almost opening another door for you.
Yeah.
And the thing to close the conversation on an optimistic, on a positive note, is that yes, there are some things that might be replaced. Yes, just like when the internet came in, just like when machinery replaced labor, industrial revolution, everything. This is a new revolution. Yes, we are scared. Yes, we don't understand it. But with the right control, with the right people, with the right mindset, we can help use it to serve humanity. And I think what touched me is that the fact that you were able to engage with it on a very personal level. So it opened another door for you. And then there are others like us out there who's interested in it. Let's just all give it a go, and then like see if it generates other things. Because what's unique about human is that we can take one idea and put it to another. And then I guess that's the Holy Grail AGI that we're talking about. That's coming, not coming, and then, but I don't know. But at least and for us, that's something that what makes human beautiful, right? So I guess but yeah, sorry. I guess what you said, using it and then putting it into good use, it's is a very optimistic side of it.
Well, was it
Okay.
a highly pretty interesting foundation. It inspired me. So now I'm looking into these clothes to weight.
Yeah. So right now, there's a model that just came out 3 weeks ago, which is something I say always wanna, or whatever. Like I've been doing this for 3 years. I go and speak with people on podcasts. Oh, there's a model that came 3 weeks ago. So it comes to show you like how
Constantly there's this new thing.
it's crazy. So the latest one, let's say, that I'm really excited about is called Flux 2. And this is the open weights model that you can fine tune. And it's in a way, it's packaged in a way that is very intelligent. It's just one model that can do everything, can edit images, it can understand them, it can also create images from text only. So when you fine tune it, you only fine tune it once, and it's able to do all sorts of things.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely, like, if you want to jump in the rabbit hole and just like do some research, start with Flux 2.
Flux 2.
Flux 2.
Flux.
Oh, Flux 2.
Yes.
LUX.
Yeah.
You just Google that, and then we can.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
How do you find it?
It's a very long story. This is about. So this is why I'm leaving architecture. To work on this. Like, hopefully, it wouldn't be neat. So, like, yeah, I understand where to download the.
Oh, this is yours.
No.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not. This number, in order to like make it, you need like millions of dollars to be able to train it. It's a company basically in Germany called Black Forest Clouds that are training these models, and they're opening their weights, which is something that's not usual. Usually we get models from China, open weights, and that's it. Actually, China is the best place for open weights right now, and they're actually whenever I start talking about this, I never stop. I don't know.
This is perfect. Well, a lot of the times we have to like, tease out some of the answer, but this is perfect.
No, I cannot. What's interesting about Flux too is that it's using a Chinese open weights LLM to do the visual reasoning thing. So without the Chinese open source, we wouldn't have gotten this incredible model that is open weights. So also the good thing about open weights is that you build on top of each other, which is quite incredible. Google, they have this model and it's closed, and no one knows what it's doing in the back end, and they're not releasing this stuff because they monetize it quite well. Yeah. So what's interesting with this model is that they actually built it on top of an open weights Chinese model, and they're a company in Germany.
But then that's me like coming to the point I think we almost missed in the podcast is that in terms of like the privacy, like having
you didn't touch on that.
My opinion kind of worms here. Like when you say open weight, so this whole thing about Chinese government stealing everyone's information. Does that mean that if we're using Chinese open weight model that all of the information is accessible?
Yeah, like I said, these open weights, they are frozen in time. They're frozen intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
And in a way, it's creepy because this makes the model, it's immortal. It's the first immortal intelligence that we have. Like we die with our intelligence. It's in our brain and it goes away. But these frozen weights, they're immortal. You cannot take them out. You just need a GPU to run it.
Wow.
It's just a file, intelligence, frozen in time, not connected to the internet. You don't need an internet to run it. I don't know if people really grasp what this means. Chinese government doesn't know. You have the weights.
So it's just that.
Yeah, I run it on my PC locally without any internet. I can run it on the airplane if I have a
laptop.
Till I had the GPU basically. And we're getting closer to like much more efficient GPUs. So you'll be able to run on phone locally. So it's this immortal intelligence that you download, which the German company Black Forest Labs that created Flux took and they used to train their image model. So there's absolutely, I mean, we're talking about privacy and like NDAs and stuff. If the model is intelligent enough and you can run it locally, you don't need any connection to the internet.
But then, sorry, I know this conversation is us, but so we spoke about privacy, but what about ownership and usage, right? I suppose.
Yeah, so this comes with a license. Yeah, exactly. So Flux 2, for example, they released a couple of the open weights for a couple of models. Some of them are for non-commercial use. I don't know how they track this really, but like you can use it only for experimentation, which is fine for university. They basically open for people to experiment with, and they would be super excited to do like these with universities and stuff, to be able to like understand these models, because again, no one understands them, and when you open it to the world, you get way better feedback than just trying to do it in small family labs. So I mean, it's a very exciting time. I would definitely look also into the Chinese models. Like they don't get enough attention because, of course, the US is trying to like have all the media, mainstream stuff on their closed source models. But we've been seeing incredible open weights for coming from China. Those were in the image space. Yeah.
That's incredible. As I understand it, you have your own courses, right? You have your courses that people can go in and then people can buy it and play around with it, and it's an amazing product. So again, like we're not dropping any sort of plugs in here, but I would encourage everyone to go and check out Ismail's. I don't know, is there a particular sort of link that they have to check? We can drop it.
Exactly. I can share with you.
It's something that they can Google.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the courses is that they get obsolete after 3-4 months.
Again, all comes up.
Yeah, but what's important here is that if you know the fundamentals, like this is also like it relates to me, because then whenever a new model comes out, I'm able to quickly test it and fine tune it and check how I can teach it something new, because I understand the fundamentals of how things work. There are like components of the image generation where you have like something called the text encoder, which understands the text, and you have the diffusion part, which actually works with noise, with random noise, where the model tries to decipher this noise into an image. Wow. So I mean, we cover all this stuff in detail inside the courses. So if you understand this, even if you just like have a visual representation of it, whenever a new model comes out, you understand that
It's based on similar.
everything is based on random noise. So you have a random seed that starts everything. So nothing is actually you cannot replicate it again because it's a random seed noise. And there are two components of it, which is the diffusion part, which is the one that generates images, but there's also the text encoder, which understands the text and translates it to the diffusion model. Yeah,
That's incredible.
We need to learn all of this. Yeah.
yeah. So this I did in a course, for example, 3 years ago. It's still applicable.
And then you're
just
updating it as you're refreshing it, so we're always going to get the latest.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, yeah, every couple of months.
So I encourage everyone to go in, click the link. You know, even if there was a little teaser, or go to Ismail, come to us. We can all have some play around whilst it's scary. Okay, I'll do the closing segment because I'm not a good reader, but whether you see AI as a partner in crafts or the end of legacy, one thing is clear: the exponential isn't waiting for us to just catch up. Ismail's journey from the drafting board to AI frontier reminds us that while a machine can write the code, only human can give a space its soul. But as framework shift and models begin to train themselves, we have to decide: are we building the future, or are we just prompting it? So thank you for everyone tuning in to Drawing the Line. If this episode has been Think What Make project, share with us, share with your colleagues, share with yourself, and then let's I'm super optimistic. It sounds very exciting, scary. Don't get me wrong, but hopefully let's make something amazing.
Good outfit. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's honestly one of my most excited and mind-blowing. I mean, this is like, this is great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we need to?
Yeah, let's clap.
3, 2.
He's spot on again.
This is how you know it's been a great session.
Yeah.